pretty lengthy agenda, and we're already behind schedule. But at this time, I'll ask anybody who wants to give us some public input. Take the microphone and state your name for the record. Anyone? Well, that's helpful for the cause, I guess. Okay. Approval of minutes, public session June 6th. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Petrie, second by Mrs. Moran. Any errors or omissions?
Under public participation, Bobby has an E on it.
With that, Kelly Bobby Storman's name has an E.
And somewhere in here it says on page 2.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 N's in store.
Yes, I think you are correct. Somewhere. Yeah. And I think it's Barbara Bauer, not Barb.
Okay. Anyone else? Mrs. Cardinal?
On page 10, under public participation, second paragraph, it says all of the school board members. Mr. Shagnon was the only one who said superintendent. And then on page 11.
That's correct. Did you understand what she's saying there?
That said superintendent. The line that says all of the school board members said they had not heard about it until approved by the superintendent. Mr. Shagnon was the only one that said he was the...
Oh, well, I didn't hear it either. I just said I didn't hear it.
Well, he said, I said that I had not heard it from anyone until
I
the
remember
superintendent.
speaking up about it, but I don't remember if
Yep.
the rest
I don't
of
think
the
anybody else answered, and I answered the administrator. I mean, I know we don't capture the entire conversation, but that's not an accurate statement the way it's written. And then on page 11, the question about the, I asked if the board were fiscal agents. I asked if the district is the fiscal agent, because I know the board isn't. Mrs. Verville said yes. And I asked if the district provided letters reminding people of how much they had charged on their lunch accounts. That question is in reference to students, not staff. But Ms. Versville did also note that staff members are not supposed to charge on their lunch accounts. That's all I have.
Anything else? Yes.
In the section I did on curriculum, there were a couple of things that, if they came across them
What
later
page?
in the
What
minutes,
page?
page 7, it wasn't my intent.
Say that again, Matt.
Some of the things, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 lines down in the curriculum section. It actually starts on the end of the 7th line, but it says Ms. Sparks explained that this curriculum. The intent wasn't that it wasn't so much about what was taught, but how it was taught, but that the curriculum was about what was taught and how it was taught. And then the next sentence, she said the plan was about what it would take to get the kids ready, not to do well on the test, but to meet the expectations for college and career ready. Because I never intended to say we were trying to get them ready for the test, so I didn't want it to come across that way. And then 2 lines below that, the end of the line starts with, she said that they needed to capture not the content of the assessment, but the standards of focus in the unit.
Okay.
And I can give that to Kelly. And then there was just one typographical one. The next to the last line, in the middle of the line, the word rubrics actually doesn't have a K.
Anything else? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor as amended? Aye. Opposed? June 6th, non-public session 1. Have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Cardinal.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moran. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Non-public session 2 from June 6th.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Moran,
Second.
second by Mrs. Cardinal. Any changes here, folks? Pretty straightforward. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Non-public session 3, June 6th. Motion by Mr. Petrie, second by Mr. Frida. Any errors, omissions? All set?
Oh, I have 3.
What?
Can I see your 3? Oh, all right, I did read that one.
Anything?
No.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Non-public session 4.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Moran, second by Mr. Petrie. Anything? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Non-public session 5, June 6th.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Cardinal, second by Mrs. Moran. I guess the only question is that clear enough?
Who took those minutes?
I did.
Did you,
Oh, I didn't write submitted by. Sorry.
yeah, you gotta put submitted by, but also,
Is that you?
Yeah,
you didn't wanna talk about what policy or anything
Can I see that?
in those?
I can know which policy.
Yeah. I'll have that in the drive. Drives me.
This is the one about attorney
Yes.
policies.
Yeah.
We wanna just put that?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
BDH, I think.
Yeah, you might want to put by roll too when you going in.
That's right.
Going in by roll was part of the public.
Right.
Is
Oh.
it?
Yes.
Coming out is what's part of the non-public session.
Yeah, but it didn't come out by roll.
So add by roll.
That she doesn't have it.
Oh, the word by roll?
Yeah.
Oh.
It has to be in there because you have to poll by law.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Coordinated school health.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? I'm who's that?
It won't be on for us, it's on for people at home.
Oh, okay. Hi, at home. Thank you guys very much for allowing us to come back here and talk to you again. We met with you back in December. And so we're here to give you an update on what we've been working on throughout the school year. Yes?
Can we just reintroduce Liz?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. This is Liz Clark.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Clark. I coordinate the Coordinated School Health Initiative. I work with the Stratford County Public Health Network.
And I suppose we could introduce ourselves too. I'm Lori Arsenal, guidance counselor at Henry Wilson. I'm one of Henry Wilson's 2 champions.
Albert Fazio, wellness teacher at Farmington High School. I'm Abby Keller, I'm the music teacher at Valley View, and I'm also one of the 2 champions.
I'm Donna Ellis, the school counselor for grades 4, 5, and 6 at Henry Wilson.
And I'm Tammy Cook, the health PE teacher at Valley View.
So we just passed out to you 2 different documents. One document is an updated priority list for that we use in our district wellness committee meetings, but it's also the priorities that we started out with when we began this initiative and identified as things we want to be working on within the Farmington School District. The second that has the draft logo there, that's the document that we've been working on a lot recently. That's our K through 12 curriculum wellness framework, and what that is a document that we developed based on some responses that we got from all of our staff, all of our educators within the district, their responses to an assessment that we gave them, as well as some research that we've done on evidence-based models for health curriculums. And so the champions, we've been meeting throughout the year, several times after school, to go through national standards, review those, as well as reviewing the priorities that we feel that our school and our students need to be focusing on in order to enhance the health and wellness. And we've developed this document to show where those competencies would be as far as meeting the standards and what we hope our students across the district can gain.
Tammy and I focused on the K-3 section of the curriculum, which, as you can see, targets the 5 content areas, which are the social emotional health, nutrition and physical activity, safety, alcohol and drug use, and personal health and wellness. And for each content area, we came up with a few competencies that we felt were most important to be targeted at that age level, along with their national health standards, which you can see. This document was presented to the Valley View staff, and the teachers had the opportunity to edit it. They had an opportunity to change, add things where they felt necessary, and they also let us know where they taught these things or what resources that they used in their classroom. This gave us a better understanding of the what information that students were getting in the classroom and where the holes were, which we could then work on to fill in. Next year, K-3 students will be receiving health as part of the Unified Arts program for an allotted amount of time throughout the school year, which will be a great opportunity for our students and our school as this curriculum will be implemented into their school day.
And at Henry Wilson, Donna and I worked together to communicate with our health and PE teachers to discuss and educate ourselves on more of what they focus in their current health and health curriculums. And then we took the document that you're looking at as well to give to the teachers and ask for their feedback to see where they might focus on some of those competencies and where they might cover those things in their other content areas. And so the door is open for feedback from them. We've received a lot of that. We're looking forward to more feedback from them as well.
At the high school, we, myself and Katie Gray, the other champion for this initiative, took a different approach. As we already have a wellness program and wellness curriculum that is implemented by myself and is a graduation requirement, we wanted to implement more wellness topics throughout their rest of their time at Farmington High School, so that they were getting more wellness topics in other content areas. So what we did was implemented some competencies in other subjects such as social studies and PE, and an example would be on that document you see. If you look, it's probably on the later pages. A competency would be in PE, I can identify how the use of drugs and alcohol affect my physical fitness. So things of that nature are implemented across the board for the rest of our students.
So in summary, you do have 2 documents. One is the integrated curriculum that we want your support with, want your feedback. But the second thing, when we first came to you, we talked about these priorities. So we wanted you to know that the Health and Wellness Committee right now is a really great group of people in the community. We have support from school care, from our cafeteria programs, from the rec program, from FAME, from UNH Cooperative Extension. We have a lot of stakeholders. We have parents, we have students, we have teachers, we have a school board member. So it's really exciting. And so I think for us at Henry Wilson too, you know, the school is just transforming every year. You know, it's been just always in this transformative stage. So it's a really exciting time to talk about this and get people all engaged in providing, just embedding the whole idea of health and wellness everywhere. So not just for the students, but for the staff and the families as well. Data, I didn't bring data because I know we only have a few minutes, but just the data does support that more when you do address health and wellness, you are going to have more academic success. So that's our drive, and we're happy that you let us come here for a few minutes. Some of the exciting things we've done, I know you can read some of them there, but we had a great parent event. High and Seek was a wonderful opportunity for parents and community members to learn about a drug-related issue. We have more walking, we have more movement breaks in our classrooms. We're trying to get PE beyond the PE class and just get the kids moving. Those are some exciting things. We were really excited to work with Josh to get the cafeteria to be more of a hub of, information, but that we're understanding there's a new contract, so we're excited to work with whoever the new contract is, and so we're hoping that over the summer, we can connect with them and see if they can, work with us to be one of our stakeholders and collaborate with us to provide a good environment. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't know if did I miss anything? Yeah. Any questions for us?
Questions from the board?
Yes, I didn't see as much parents' involvement, I think, as there should be. What do you plan to do about that? Because they are the ultimate
Right.
deciders of the education.
Parent involvement
Health
is
education.
something we're working with. For example, FAME, they do parent events as well, so we like to work together. We have an internet safety one that was in the works, but I think that fell apart, right? So that's coming. But I think in general, you're absolutely right. We need more parent involvement. It is one of our priorities, and it's something we want to focus on.
We've discussed it at various wellness meetings, and it is something that is kind of an undercurrent of all the meetings, to have ideas thrown out there and different initiatives discussed. So it's something that's up there and recognized as an important aspect. Absolutely.
What happens if someone leaves the district that's currently on the team, finds other employment or something? Is there a way to replace so that you still have those people?
Absolutely, I
present?
would hope so, because it's just been a good opportunity, and I would hope that, if any of us left, we would fill in someone's. But really, the group is running right now, as far as, two different issues. We have us, but we also have a community that's formed, and, we have at least 15 people, I would say, most meetings. The one last week wasn't, it's the end of the year. It wasn't as well attended, but we have a lot of people coming, so, it's community members that are also helping with us too. We're just kind of leading the charge a little bit.
Right.
But it's exciting.
Yeah.
Just one more thing to add.
Yeah.
I serve on this committee since I was elected, and one thing that stood out to me in the 3 meetings that I was able to attend so far is the use of survey with the students to make sure that everything that this, I think, pretty large committee is working on ties back into what is going to be meaningful for the students. And circling back with getting that feedback along the way on everything that they're doing. That stood out to me as an effective tool.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a comment. I really like the format and everything. It looks really, really nice, and it takes everything into consideration. I just have one comment that's a pet peeve of mine, personally, so take it as it's worth. On page 13 is that computers is probably not the good term to use. I would connect that idea, the cultural media use, with digital citizenship and social and emotional health, because there's more than computers. It's all about digital devices and internet safety and things like that. So I would broaden that a little bit. Computer sounds a little cold and not really related to high school level things.
All right.
Thank you.
Folks. Appreciate the update.
It is. Both of them.
Comments to review it, you can email me, I'll give you guys my cards, so any feedback you have, we'd love to have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Big business.
Okay. Look at a bid, all-in-one computers.
Bailey here, IT director, and I worked on a public bid for purchasing 25 all-in-one computers at Henry Wilson School. The funding source is through the remaining monies for SIG grant. And we did the usual practice of soliciting a public bid, running an ad in Foster's Daily Democrat, posting it on the website, as well as mailing it out, emailing it out to 6 companies. And also by putting it on the website, it allows for companies around the country to be able to do some web mining, to be able to see what we have for public bids. We received 4 responses, and let's see, from Gov Connection in Merrimack, New Hampshire, SDF Professional Computer out of Greenville, North Carolina, Trinity 3 out of St. Paul, Minnesota, and Dell out of Round Rock, Texas. We are looking for Dell brand product. We did receive a bid, Gov Connection, which was the closest product bid to our specifications. However, the price for 25 units is $30,431. The next one closest would be Dell out of Texas, and that would be $24,178.50. We were looking for a 4-year warranty, which Dell in Texas provided. The other 2 companies, SDF Professional and Trinity, provided bid pricing, although it's lower, on Lenovo products. I don't know if you had some other questions, but Mr. Bailey is here. He's going over, the bid responses, and our recommendation is to go with Dell in the amount of $24,178.50.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Why don't we want Lenovo's? I guess, is it just the quality of the machine? Where's Mr. Bailey? There he is.
Well, essentially, we're continuing to build a lab, actually. Is that safe to really call it a lab, or to continue on?
I'm going to ask you to go to the mic,
Yeah.
Rick, just so people at home can hear you, please.
Yes, we're actually replacing the computer lab at Henry Wilson. And one of the things that we're looking to do is stay consistent with what we buy. That way we don't have a mishmash of this, that, and every other thing. And Dell has always treated us good in the past.
Okay.
With their warranties and their service.
Okay. But you don't have bad luck with Lenovo. It has nothing to do with the product itself. You just prefer to have Dells.
Yes, for this particular machine, we do buy Lenovo products, and we have in the past. We have, as far as the standard desktop computers go, and our workstations for our higher end labs, we do have Lenovo products. And I'm not always. I shouldn't say, I'm never opposed to looking at new product. However, in this case, the 2 companies that were bidding Lenovo products, one of them didn't specify that they were providing pricing for touchscreen, which is one of our specifications that we were looking for. And the other appeared to be giving us prices for what appeared to be an outdated
discontinued
model.
one.
So it just kind of strengthened our choice to go with Dell.
I'll make the motion that we take the superintendent's recommendation for the Dell products at $967.14 each.
Motion by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Mr. Petrie. Further discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Yeah, I've got FAMI on here, then I have FAMI fee schedules. Are there 2 different things?
No, the dean had asked to be there, he was going to talk about the program, but
Okay.
he also had the fee schedule to approve.
Okay. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Dean Poland, and I'm the director of the 21st Century FAME Grant Program, overseeing the after-school and summer programs. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for allowing the FAME program to move forward and maintain its status here in the Farmington schools. We'll now be operating as a school district program as we move into our final 2 years of the current grant cycle. And during the final year, our intention is to reapply for an additional 5 years and hopefully keep this program here in the district. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all the families, staff members, faculty, and community members for showing their immense support for the program over the past 8 years. From the feedback I've received, I know that the program has been a positive experience for students and their families, and that each and every attendee has made gains through either academic support, social emotional growth, leadership, opportunities, community building, positive role modeling, and increasing self-esteem. The overall success of the program I have to dedicate to the amazing staff members who have provided a wealth of knowledge to these children. A vast array of enrichments from cooking, engineering, credit recovery classes, science experiments, making movies through TV production, team building, fitness, sports, and much more. The staff are truly what make this program special, and they're the ones who provide the quality programming that even has the Department of Education recommending other programs to come and visit and observe. As we make this transition, I really hope that we can maintain their status in the program by exploring possibilities for them as they're the ones who work closely with the children in the school and during the after-school hours. We have a summer program that starts in 2 weeks, July 5th. There's already over 50 students that are signed up for that program. Dr. Pfeiffer has a list of the nominees for the staff members for this upcoming summer session.
Be done tonight.
We'll have a couple of additional staff members that we need to add to that list at some point. As we look to the summer and next school year, the FAME program will maintain its name as FAME, but it will stand for something different. And we had a really fun competition with the kids and the staff members, all trying to come up with new names, new meanings for the program, and in a collaborative effort and a combination of entries, we came up with Farmington adds many educational experiences. So we've maintained the FAME name. I would also like to present to you the fees for the program. The fees have remained the same for the past couple of years. And so if I can pass those around.
Actually,
we all have them.
Yeah.
Dean, did I hear you correctly that you said that the fees have remained the same for the past few years?
The fees are the same, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any questions about the fees or the new name or what FAME has been doing?
No, but, sorry, can I be recognized?
Yes, go ahead, sorry. I was reading, sorry.
I applaud you for keeping the same acronym, FAME. I think that continuity will really help, given that behind the scenes, contractual-wise, there was a change, but keeping the same acronym name is definitely a benefit.
I think it would be strange as well. For the kids certainly wanted to keep it that name because that's how they've known. We've had so many kids that have come through. In fact, I sat there at the graduation and I think about 3/4 of them have come through the program, and there was 3 or 4 of them in the front row that currently work for the program and have gone through since 4th grade, which is crazy to me, but they wanted to keep that name FAME.
Great. And then my other kind of commendation, if you will, is the fees being able to remain relatively the same, because I know with the change of the school taking ownership of the program, I assume the cost out of pocket for family was going to need to go up.
No, we actually have a reduction in funding this year as well, but we've been able to maintain those fees, and because we're looking at a 10% carryover from this budget year, which we're allowed to carry up to 10%, and we're looking at doing that. So that's going to help us move forward for the years of those reductions.
Excellent, thank you.
Just explain what lunch means. Am I not getting this?
Oh, that's the, oh, go ahead.
The lunch?
The lunch fee, like, what, how does?
If they get
There's no lunch
free
fee.
reduced.
There's breakfast and lunch is provided by, through the Governor Wentworth program. They provide summer feeding for the Farmington
Oh,
school.
I'm sorry, so this is
Yeah,
for.
there's no fee for the.
Okay, so we're talking about lunches for the summer program.
Yeah, they've been providing lunch for a couple of years now, and they provide to summer school and the rec program, and also at the Fennel Park.
Okay.
So is
I
it
think I understand where the confusion is from. So that fee schedule
Yeah.
is based on whether or not families qualify for the free and reduced lunch.
Right.
So that if you don't qualify for free or reduced, you're paying the
$7.
Oh,
full
okay.
price lunch.
Okay.
The sliding scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
It's just so that
I
everything's
just read
based
it.
on
I
the
read it
same
in-
criteria.
I didn't read it that way. Okay. All right, anything else for Dean?
Why are the younger ones?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that thing.
We have additional staff members to help facilitate with the programming for them. During the homework clubs as well. Definitely need more additional instruction as well to help them, and to make sure that homework is completed.
So it's because there's more employees at the lower level, so it's more money.
We need to make a motion to approve this fee schedule. Is that correct?
Yes.
Motion by Stan,
Oh, second.
second by Mrs. Cardinal.
Well, I just have a question.
Yes.
Is this going to help sustain the program? I mean, there's a lot of changes happening with the program this year in employment, and is this enough? What you're bringing in, is it going to balance out, I guess is?
Yeah, it's been enough, and looking at the numbers, yes, it's going to help with this school year coming up, and the year 5 as well.
Okay.
And so we have 2 years remaining for grant funding coming into the district, which is estimated at around $400,000, and that will carry us for the next couple of years. And then in year 5, we reapply for an additional 5 years, and we go up against competition from other schools and other reapplicants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
If I can just probe our SAU staff, is there any information that would disagree with, that would conflict, I should say, and make us disagree at all with that statement, that funding, the extra funding coming in, carrying over?
Dean has, he's just in the process of actually of entering the application and into the database, and yes, he does realize that there are more costs that relate to New Hampshire retirement requirements. He does have fees that are allowed to be carried over from previous years. And you also said you have a carryover from this year. So
Correct.
if it were not for the fees from previous years and the carryovers, which you know that year 5 is going to be tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Besides, I mean, the district has annually given about $70,000 in kind. That is buildings, electricity, heat, custodial, are all things that the districts help support this program by doing for the spaces that.
So that won't be
they-
additional, it's just something we've always done.
It's still treated as in kind, right? Yeah.
Thank you, just due diligence on my part, sorry.
Okay.
Don't be sorry.
All those in favor of the fee schedule?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Foley.
Superintendent search. Mrs. Cardinal?
Okay, so
Thank
we...
you.
Thank you. In the share drive, we have stored all of the applications that have come in for the position, for the superintendent position. We're at a total of 9. One, we went ahead at the last SAU board meeting. One, we said that we weren't going to invite to the first round interviews. 2 have come in since our last SAU board meeting last Monday. I did get a pulse, and at least 3 of us were in favor of the application dated June 14th on the share drive. Initials are AA. And one that we still have to decide whether or not we're going to invite to apply, initials are PL. And the application is dated June 17th. So
I'm completely in favor of PL. I still think the other individual has no building level administration experience and no SAU administrative experience, and has only been a media specialist. I just don't see why we think that individual should be interviewed. Someone just tell me. I don't
personally think that we're going to be able to get anybody decent at our pay schedule. I think we need to have a diamond in the rough. And so I think that person has the qualifications. And so it's worth a look-see, and we can determine by actually meeting and asking questions whether or not we feel that individual would be sufficient. But I think we're going to have to get somebody who we find is a diamond in the rough, and we can train.
That's a big leap. Just hey, maybe if we interview them, I definitely will classify that individual as a diamond, because that's a big leap from having no supervisory responsibilities to go and.
Well, there was 1 year of the title was principal intern.
All that is. Sorry, Mrs. Cadman, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, and in the description, again, we can only go by the paperwork
Yeah.
at this point, and recommendations.
Right.
And some of the names that are listed as references and the written recommendations seem to stand out to me enough to say, I want to meet this individual.
Right. Just keep in mind that everybody who goes through superintendency training and principal training has to do some type of a
Intern.
It's practical.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what that is, but.
But if you read the description, this
Yeah.
individual is entrusted as the administrator in charge in the principal's absence. So they were a covering acting principal, I think would be a better title, based on what I'm reading here. But again, I want the opportunity to ask those questions myself.
The board already, consent, the 3 people wanted them, so I just was curious to hear a little more input directly. So. But I would suggest we do interview PL. I'm a little concerned at that individual's current pay schedule. But in a conversation with Mrs. Cardinal, is that just salary, or is that salary and the benefits and everything wrapped into one? I don't know.
Right. Okay, so I only heard back from 2 of board members of whether or not to invite PL.
I don't have a problem. I think we should see as many qualified people as we can and pick the best candidate for the job.
Okay. All right, then, do you want to weigh in? Because 3 people wanting to interview is enough.
Whatever, I'll listen.
Okay. All right, so that's where we're at with applications. I'll get PL scheduled right away. For the superintendent search committee, just to recap, we posted on June 7th, gave 10 days notice, wanting individuals from throughout the community to join the superintendent search committee. Those individuals are responsible for executing the first round of interviews with Mr. Frieda and myself over the course of this week, the latter part of this week. We had 1 employee from the SAU nominated from within. So Ms. Sparks, and her statement is included in the shared drive if you choose to read it. We had 1 para-educator apply, Mrs. Pate. Her statement is also included. We have one student who applied, Farmington High School sophomore, Clara Moore. She gave a very good statement herself as well. We have 3 community members who are parents who applied. I won't rattle off their names just simply because, for the interest of keeping this fair and unbiased, where we need to choose one of those 3. We did not hear from any teachers. We did not hear from anyone on the budget committee, at least by the 17th. But briefly, in passing, right before the meeting, we did get one interest from Mr. Henry.
There's a meeting of the budget committee Wednesday night. Would you like us to query the budget committee as to membership?
I've already talked to the 2 members that had expressed interest and didn't send anything, so.
Okay.
We actually have our first 2 interviews scheduled for Wednesday evening. So if you were to serve on this committee, we'd have to ask you to miss that budget committee meeting. I'm not sure.
There's a vice chair though,
So
right?
consider, that's what I was going to go over
We're not
next.
meeting. I thought we were meeting in July. We are? Oh, all right.
What time
Yeah,
is
we
your
were that moment.
Our interviews are at 5:30 and 7. It's 2 candidates, one after the other.
So it'd be there too.
So, so we have a schedule set based on when the candidates were available. 2 Wednesday evening, 2 Thursday evening, and 2 Friday evening. So I'll be contacting the individuals who are the sole applicants for the committee to make sure they're available and ground rules, interview questions, scoring methodology, and all of that. That was the packet I gave you at the last meeting. So if there's any feedback on that, I'd like to hear that. And likewise, we need to pick which community member parent, who's a parent, we'd like to have on the committee based on the written statements they provided, or some sort of hybrid where we had non-response from 2 other groups.
So
So at the board's
the
discretion if
teachers-
we want to invite all of these parents to join. And that's my update.
Stan, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I did. Was that packet? I don't think I was at that meeting. So is that packet in here someplace?
Yes, I actually just put it in today. It is called,
It's in the same folder.
yes, it's in this folder. Oh, structured interviews, PDF. So those are samples of the approach that we're going to take this week.
What's the board's,
Just one more thing to clarify. I can make the Wednesday and Thursday ones, but Friday I have to travel, so I will not be here on Friday for those interviews, so we'll need a replacement.
Well, I'd like the same 2 people for all the interviews, because it's really hard to get a gauge of.
Well, the interviews, in terms of the scoring, they're not going to be scoring candidate to candidate. They'll be scoring based on attributes for that particular competency. So for example, problem solving, it'll have a definition of, you would score low a 1 if this is what they're demonstrating based by their answers. And you'd score a high, a number 5, if this is what they're demonstrating, so that you're not comparing person to person and candidate to candidate.
So it doesn't matter?
Not so much as if we were comparing candidate to candidate. 'Cause if all 6 candidates score low, then we wouldn't offer the position, we wouldn't offer a second round interview with the school board. So I think that is doable to have different people from day to day.
Well, we're only talking different people for, what you mean, one board member sitting in?
For Friday.
Yeah, I
For
just can't
Friday.
be representing us, so if we want 2 board members, somebody else could come and say.
Should be Friday, roughly 5 to 8 p.m.
Oh my
Is there a board member that can do that? Mrs. Petrie, can you do that?
Possible. What day? Friday?
Friday?
This Friday?
This Friday?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, what's the date?
24th.
It's the 24th.
We posted those.
Posted the interviews?
Committee meetings, right?
Yeah, you post
We
subcommittee
posted
meeting.
for participation in the committee, yep.
No, posted them.
The actual meeting?
Yeah.
No, I didn't post them as a meeting just yet. I haven't, we have to select the committee members tonight, but we can get that posted tomorrow for Wednesday's interview. You would post an interview as a committee meeting?
Yeah.
And make it non-public?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So,
I would, my input is, in lieu of the fact that we don't have a budget committee member and a
so we
member-
do have a budget committee member.
Oh, you are able to make it? Oh, I'm sorry, okay. We don't have a teacher. Well, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. So is there a budget committee meeting Wednesday?
Yes.
But you're able to make it. One of the,
If it's not somebody else, it will be me.
right. But one of the parents involved, or that asked to be a part of it, would be at the budget committee meeting, am I correct?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yes.
In an administrative role.
I don't know, they applied for this committee knowing it was going to be this week of dates.
Yeah.
I can work on everybody's availability and emphasize that we need you to cancel whatever other plans, commitments that you had to be here at these interviews, but,
Do we vote on the parent members here? I mean, we don't have, are we putting names out? What are we, how are we, well, what's the appropriate way to do that?
I may be able to postpone
I don't know, they applied for a position, I mean,
I might do it in non-public, because it is
no,
an application.
yeah.
it's not up there for the I already stated who, because there was no, essentially, competition for that one spot. Who applied, who were the sole applicants. I only didn't state their names because, I don't know, I can state their names.
We'll do it in non-public. You want me to just suggest that we do it in non-public?
I mean, is it okay that we do it in non-public?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reputations are at
Talk about
stake.
people.
My concern is, how can we get a teacher?
We've made the offer.
Paid them.
I don't think we should solicit, and I think we've, you know.
Put it out there.
Put it out there.
You communicated it well.
Most of the principals are having meetings here at the end of the year, so I can encourage them.
Oh, I apologize, I forgot to say that the principals got together and nominated Mrs. Fredette as the principal rep. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Fredette, if you're watching at home.
Sorry, you'll be
Um,
banished.
Okay, so then we'll just deal with this in non-public, I guess,
Okay.
the rest of this.
Did you have a citizen non-parent apply?
One, when submitting their statement, said, I could be either a parent or a non-parent. So no non-parent.
Depends on the day.
It was,
21st century learning expectations.
I think you had a document on your drive and you have a copy, it's two-sided. Basically, part of the work we started last year that brought forward the mission statement, belief statements, and core values from the work started with NEAS. Standard 1 actually also includes 21st century learning expectations. We had not yet addressed that piece. We did as a district with a cross-school group with administrators, teachers on May 27th during the early, no, that was our full release day. And the learning expectations are on the back of the document. We reviewed both NEAS documents and samples, and also samples from about 7 different school districts in the state to kind of guide us, and looked online from the 21st century group of exactly what we mean by 21st century learning expectations. So I just wanted to present these to the board. I don't know if they thought would be to have you all formally adopt them as part of kind of this whole document. There is a group, the same group that worked on these has started assessment rubrics to go with them so that we know when a student has attained this or what level they are. That work started that day, and we're continuing Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Questions from the board about the?
Yeah, where's our plan? Where's our strategic plan that's supposed to, I'd like to see that dusted off and take a look, see what we got and go on from there. And some of these things should be integrated in that plan.
I think you're gonna find, that these belief statements are similar.
Well, that's
Quite
fine, I
similar.
mean, that's what I expect. But we should be working from a plan, and that plan should be a live document, not something that we, make up and then stick on a shelf, and then 5 years later, you go back and say, oh geez, isn't this nice?
But this is part of.
We got the goal, now we need the plan. How do we get there?
Okay, I'm gonna let you respond to that.
As far as the strategic plan?
Yeah, how that.
Well, I think they coordinate. In particular, this is something that we need to be able to address through the NEAS process, having in particular something that states this. I think what we may find is in looking at, I think the most recent plan, I think Joel was correct and I was off by years, all of Valley View kind of ran together. In about 2007 was when the strategic plan, I think, was adopted. There were belief statements, and this kind of updated, would probably look to be an update of that.
And when's the last time we took it out and dusted it off? That's the problem with that plan. It's not a plan if it's not developed and implemented. And then feedback loops to make sure that you keep asking yourself, are we meeting the goals and identify the problem in the plan?
But that's why we made the commitment to go through that process through
What,
NEAS. Yes.
NEAS is just another tool.
It's another tool that should assure us
That we're driving to the goal.
because someone else is also going to be watching things here. It's not, an organization's going to be watching things.
So I'm not too concerned about them.
Well,
Their certification doesn't mean much. What means the most is these kids, when they leave this school, like the ones that just did Saturday, to be successful. That's the proof of the pudding right there. Plain and simple. It's nothing, I don't care what NEAS says, because NEAS, I see kids come out of certain schools go into, like Nashua Community College. 2/3 of them need freaking remedial. And that's one thing I ask our graduating kids, once they're out, if I see them out on the street or if I see them wherever, UNH, a lot of them go to UNH, and I'll ask them, I say, what, did you need remedial? And if they don't, then I know we're doing a good job. If they do, like a lot of schools say that, as a matter of fact, there's 2/3, which is an awful number, that need remedial in both language arts and math.
but you weren't part of the NEASC adoption. Is that correct?
What?
As far as,
Well,
no.
the workshop, the retreats
No, but
and
see,
things.
we should be. This board should be.
No, we
were.
We were. I'm saying that you personally were not part of that, and there were 4 members of this board that voted to go through this process. And I believe you voted it down because I'm not sure that you were part of the initial retreats.
Well, because I want to see a plan that is a real plan, not, you can't friggin' leave stuff on the shelf and expect it to work. I know a lot of people work hard to make sure these kids get educated properly, but that's our main responsibility of this board, is make sure the curriculum and everything is developed, that we can keep asking ourselves, are we meeting the goals that we set forth?
Why do you think it gets dust on a shelf? What do you think causes that?
Because there's, once you make it up, that's done, it's on the shelf, done.
But I think it also has to do with turnover.
Wow.
New board members.
But you gotta keep gotta keep at it.
adopting the plan to get NEASC certified, whether you're accredited, whether you agree with NEASC, and, you know, I know there's been a lot of debate over the years, well, who are these people? Well, they are the most widely regarded group, you know, that accredits schools. So that's why, you know, and I'll make an argument for, you know, against it too sometimes, but with the amount of turnover that our district has seen and with board members in and out, I think that's what's caused the dust on the shelf. I think the hope was that being part of the NEASC organization, that they would keep us sort of, okay, guys, you know.
On track.
On track. I mean, and add to that if you want.
I think that would be part, I think having the strategic plan come out and be reviewed as part of it would probably make sense to bring it current, make it what it is.
That's what we're here
Having
for.
everything working together, because that's going to be the best. I think, I was just, for the learning expectations, that's what the goal of this is for our seniors when they leave, that they are able to do all of these things in all of these areas, and that's where we're working on the rubric. It's not tied to any one particular set of standards, it's not tied to anything else. These are the things we want the students to be able to do. The academic being pretty much under that effective communication piece for the English language arts, and the mathematical piece under the complex thinking, and then everything else tying together, which is why we were looking to add that on to the already board-adopted document.
So we need a go ahead.
Oh, we can go with the motion first.
I don't know, Stan had something to
Yeah,
do.
I would compel or ask, beg you to revisit those skills, because they're not necessarily 21st century, I think.
I have to say they met everything we had that talked about 21st century skills and followed along everything else. So if you have some other information you can give me that we can incorporate in review and for research, but even the two gentlemen we had working with us, and I will say from NEASC on it, they were there at the meeting that day and said, this is exactly what you need. So I'm not sure where else to go on that.
That's what they say to everybody who presents things.
Is there anything specific that, like, can you give us an example?
Well, no, I just don't, I mean, the information technology literacy it's just like sort of 20th century stuff that's pretending to be 21st century. It's not really next generation thinking, and there's the ISTE standards that you can look at. There's a Partnership for 21st Century Skills. There's new media literacies, things like that that'll encompass a whole bunch of different learning things. This seems to be one sort of broad and sometimes ill-fitting statement that sort of is supposed to fit into a content area as opposed to more integrated content with all content areas. So it just seems a little bit forced to me, I think.
I guess we were thinking they would all be across all content areas, and maybe it will help flesh it out once the rubrics are written. So you're seeing what's really being looked at as the expectation of meeting the different levels of the rubric to say, yes, a student has met these.
Did you have?
No, that is a
No.
question.
Do I have a motion to add these to the existing document?
I'll make the motion that we add them.
Motion by Mrs. Moore, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mrs. Cardinal. Any further discussion?
If we do have some feedback for edits, because this is a live working document, correct? Or is this now set and you move on to the next piece?
It would be something I would hope we would revisit all the time, because it, as a strategic plan, it needs to be looked at, kept current, and reviewed to say, is this currently still what we believe, where we want to go?
Well, that living document thing, to Joe's point, that living document thing is a culture. It doesn't have anything to do with turnover. I think it has to do with the culture of whether or not you look at the document as a common practice, and whether or not this is your first day on the job or your 18th year. If you're not told, or the leadership doesn't say, look at these documents, then you just don't do it. So they have to be made living by the dedication of the leadership and the fact that it is emphasized as something that is meaningful. And so if they're confusing language and it doesn't really relate to anything specific or speak to a teacher or an administrator or a child, they sit on the shelf.
You don't think that the NEASC process helps that along?
I think it will, but again, I'm a little disappointed because we were sort of promised at the first retreat I went to that the board would be involved, and we were never invited. So at least I wasn't informed that we were invited in any of those meetings, so I wasn't allowed to participate in anything by default, I guess. So I think the process is good, but I'm not witness to it, so I'm not really sure what we're getting for what we're paying for those consultants. Because again, I think that the mission statement is so general, it doesn't really speak to anything that has specific to do with Farmington. I'll just repeat that again. It's just like, oh yeah, that's great. It's like those template things that you pick up. It's not really something that was developed for our special needs in this community. But that's my feeling about it.
Well, this board has the authority to terminate the accreditation process.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I just would rather see it in operation a little more, because we were told a lot of things and we were given a lot of plans, and then it's never reported on, and we don't know what the process is, and we're not involved in it. And the next thing you know, it's like they're bringing stuff to us, and concerns are made, but we're going to vote on it anyway. You know what I mean? It's just getting pushed along, I think, without any real thought process from the community.
Who serves on the committee that came up with these? It's district-wide employees are,
There
who
were
serves on
4
the committee.
teachers, an administrator from each building.
And the two, did you say you had a couple of?
And the two of the coaches.
Two of the coaches.
We call this the accreditation steering.
It was actually, this committee came together specifically around 21st century learning expectations.
Oh, okay.
That was the only task.
So there isn't a committee meeting about accreditation and all of the steps that it takes to be head of that?
There has not, most of the work for the accreditation done this year was the application that was done and accepted and turned in back in December. And then that was accepted formally, I think it was February by the New England College, by NEASC. And so since then, there's been work at the school level specific just to Standard 1. And that was the early release day in March and the full day in May, which really is just around having a mission statement, how it was recreated, how it's used, how it's kept current, how it's publicized, which are things we still need to work on because it's been created, it's been somewhat publicized. The mission statement, belief statements, and core values, that was the one that was actually physically mailed to 3,000 residents and businesses for input last year, as well as the school community.
And I've observed the core values in practice. I'm just letting you know, I've observed, everybody uses the TIGERS acronym. I see that in multiple locations around the district. Documentation.
Are we on track with the timeline that was originally presented to us?
As far as I know.
The timeline has been delayed to 2019 at the association's request.
At NEASC's request? At NEASC's request?
But for what reason?
Yeah.
They had too many schools in 18. They've got a backlog.
Interesting.
Was there a letter to that effect? Was there a letter to that effect stating that? Could we see that at some point?
Sure.
Thank you.
So then we're going to have to tweak that timeline, right? I mean, if it's another year out.
I would get it. We had put together the timeline that kind of went through this year.
Oh, okay.
What we're doing. We had never really spelled out
Okay.
the following
So
year.
so we should expect to see a timeline for this coming year at some point. Be nice to see that.
And was it my understanding that we had a visit from somebody from NIASC, or a team from NIASC in
George
December or
Edwards.
something?
Yeah.
Did we get a report from them?
Just the acceptance letter. I don't believe anything else ever came in writing.
For me.
Can I have a motion and a second to add these learning expectations to this document? Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3-2. Sale of the 2005 Ford Freestar van.
This memo is really just an update for you because several months ago, the school board did officially declare the 2005 Freestar van as surplus property, and I've been diligently trying to sell it. So my memo identifies for you that through the sale of doing a public bid, trying to encourage someone in the community to come forth. We did not receive any responses at all. I did approach the town. The town is not interested, and I did attach the email in there. Which means that, in light of wanting to be open and transparent about disposing of school district property, what that would mean is, do I go out and do another public bid, which does mean spending more money on advertising, or do I contact Cressy and see if when we purchase the new replacement bus, which is part of the approved warrant article, that perhaps they could provide us with a credit against that purchase, or 3, just to simply work with a local junkyard to see if, just looking to be open and transparent, and we've already removed it off of our insurance.
I think we'd have better luck getting money from the junkyard. I just can't imagine it giving us more credit than the weight of the metal.
Exactly. But it is property, so I just need to document.
We just sold it for $100.
Would you?
What's the board's wishes?
I don't think Lori should spend her time trying to get rid of a bus. She's got many more important things to do. Let's just weigh it and sell it and get rid of it.
I'll give you $100 for it.
I will.
We have an offer.
Okay, we have an okay, I have documents for you to sign, sir.
Can he make that as a proposal to you at some point?
Actually, if the board is willing to accept that, right here, right now, publicly,
I'd want to know what it would weigh in the junkyard, what they'd get for it. Get at least, I think, more than 100.
Well, I expect to get more than $100 for it when I bring it down, but I'm going to be the one that brings it down, so.
You think she should contact the junk dealer and see what she can get?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I will.
Nice try.
Report back.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Appreciate sharing your services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Verville.
Board policies, and there's a slew of them.
Did everybody get a chance to read through them all? Because can we just accept them as a first read?
Mrs. Cardinal.
I move to adjust the agenda. I don't know why all of these policies are here on this agenda. I don't know who requested to see all of these policies on the agenda, but if we could move all except for the 2 that are due for second read, which is the curriculum policy and curriculum review cycle. That's the motion.
So.
All these policies are on the agenda because there are many of them that are required by law that haven't been updated for a while. And so they're required policies, and I'm trying to help you get in compliance with required policies besides what you asked me to do, which was EBB, EBBB, and EBBC.
But they were specifically asked for this agenda.
I think we asked to update policies. I mean.
No, but we specifically asked for those E's.
Right. And the extra ones, Keith, you're saying are by matter of law, but we have them already. We just haven't readopted them. Are there changes in them?
Or there been changes?
Okay.
Well, have any of these been updated?
I'll second Angie's motion for discussion.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant to do that.
The motion again was to just look at IGA and IGA-R. Is that correct?
Yes. Those are the ones that are due for second read.
Those are second reads. Any discussion on those?
I think we need a policy committee. I know that we said that, I think I've suggested
I
that
would
3 or 4
recommend-
times now since we've been elected to the board. And I know there used to be one, and we said, no, this board is the policy committee, but we just don't have time. We'll be here for 14-hour meetings if we go through all of the policies that are out of date as a board. But if we have a policy committee that can meet separately and bring that sort of work.
It still has to come back to the board. I mean, irregardless of a policy committee, the board still would have to vote on it. So it would just be the policy committee putting them on the agenda. It would still be the same
Did we
function.
develop these, or are these taken from someplace and unchanged?
I'm sure they're taken from someplace.
It's a school board association.
And
Those
have
to
they been
adjust.
changed to align these, or are they just?
Well, we discovered some of these in the process, you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't believe have we adopted a policy since we reorganized in March? No.
We haven't adopted a policy probably in the last 8 months.
However, we were adopting more policies and revising more policies when we had a policy committee.
It's the
So that-
driving force
yeah.
to make sure we're prioritizing and looking, and to Mr. Frieda's comment, customizing to our district.
Right. Can we get 2 members to be on a policy committee? I am not going to volunteer for that.
I'll volunteer.
This is Cardinal volunteers. Do anyone else?
I'll do it after the superintendent thing is over.
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to take a look at these 2 policies for tonight, second read? IGA, IGAR.
Need headers.
Used to be here,
It's not a big thing.
grocery store. Still is? I was partial, I worked.
Any
Which one do you want
comments
to look
or-
at first?
What?
Which one do you want to look at first?
IGA,
I don't even know what it is.
curriculum development.
Well, I don't know where it is on this
Yeah.
without opening them all up. All right, I got that one.
I do want to recommend one change, and that would be to include that curriculum review cycle flow chart right in this policy, as opposed to making it a separate one.
What's the name of this file?
Draft
Draft
policy,
policy,
IGA.
Ah.
And then if we could talk about that review cycle flow chart in there. I think we're missing an opportunity, and I see this actually across the board in all of our different committees, subcommittees that we have, and that is to leverage the expertise of individuals in our community who have an education background, who have a vested interest because their children and their neighbors' children go to school here, in bringing an outside perspective into our internal policies. So I'd like to see it referencing a committee, and I'd like to see us invite individuals outside of our district to join our committee. Or I should say, not employed in our district, but are a part of our community.
This has some of the elements of a plan, believe it or not.
So-
See that?
Yeah, you signed up on first read. You were here for that.
I'm just trying to think how to, are you looking at, say, the line where it says the superintendent will establish curriculum committees for the study of curriculum, including selection of new materials found, said committee to include?
Could I suggest establishing a curriculum council that has parents,
What a novel
teachers,
idea.
that drive the process?
Yeah, I like
Parents, you're gonna involve parents?
Curriculum
Parents
council,
are knowledgeable
parents
people.
with an education.
That's a novel idea.
It's a research best practice.
I mean, it could be its own paragraph in the middle there, too.
What was that, I'm sorry?
The reference to the committee and parents being a part of the committee.
We could define the committee like
'Cause
we
we
did
have
for the
here-
search committee. One of these, two of these, one of these, whatever.
Yeah.
Make a list.
And are you only saying a parent with an education background? Because I think,
I'm just pointing out that we don't leverage that expertise, that outside knowledge.
so you're saying just an involved parent?
Yeah, and then the choice of who it would be, their education background should come into play there. I mean, I'm a very involved parent, but I don't have the expertise to advise on curriculum, other than making sure that it's balanced and not.
Really?
Yeah. But we have several other parents in the community who actually want to provide input, especially on our literary arts programs and the programs that we've chosen to use.
I think it's a good idea to have parents on, but I just didn't know if you want that stipulated in here, the membership of the committee, if you will. I think number of teachers is likely to change depending on subject area and things like that. We're likely to have more from English language arts than we will, say, if we're looking at phys ed. But
I think we can add a statement at the end where it's referencing all the teachers, and teachers, it's expected that all teachers will make contributions to curriculum development. Something along the lines of district will encourage community members to also make a contribution to curriculum development by serving on our curriculum committee. Because that was something we talked about last meeting as well, was reinstating the curriculum committee, getting that revived this fall.
Mm-hmm.
So then this particular.
Yes, if you put in there what that you will revisit it every 3 years or every 5 years or whatever, I wouldn't suggest any longer than 5, then it makes it so that you have a goal. Now, if it's like this, it's just,
we have a goal.
We do whatever we want. Yeah, but it doesn't say that. They'll just say, we have a policy, we'll do it at some point. And we don't know where we are, and that's how we get lost, and that's how things sit on shelves.
Thank you.
That's a good point. The review cycle doesn't have, it's not time-bound.
right, that's why I actually didn't put the chart that had the years we were doing each one. I put the cycle.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking about this flow chart.
Yes, so it has the cycle, but not which years which are happening for which. So, but it is virtually every 5 years.
Yeah, because you had said last week that this, I think it was last week, that the stages really kind of represented
A year,
school
right.
year.
So it doesn't put a date to it, but it does put a number of years.
That's good.
It's a plan, too, believe it or not, it has the elements.
So we're gonna attach the two together.
Yeah, I would agree with Angie. Make the cycle part
Yeah.
of the.
Rather than having the cycle be a separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see a big plan someday. That's my goal.
So are we adopting both of these? Is that, do you want
No
to
one's
adjust?
inclusive of the other.
Right, well, do we want to adjust the motion so that it includes IGA and IGARs, the schedule?
Yep.
Well, I think we should have Cynthia put that in to the IGA policy, have her write that final statement, and then we can adopt it completely.
I can bring it back.
So we just vote it down tonight and bring it back? Or just?
No, just table it.
Table it? Table it.
Well, we could table it, yeah.
Motion.
You don't call it
That's
third
motion.
Motion to table by Mr. Petrie.
You could call it a final read at the next one, too.
Yeah. Is that a second?
Yeah.
I know. All those in favor of tabling? Aye.
However it happens.
No, we'll just,
Yeah.
she knows what we want, so.
That's all counts. Well, we'll bring it off the table and we'll see what you come up with. Right?
Okay.
That works for me.
We're going right to financials.
Yep.
Of course, you really know what table means, right? Over to the legislature. Good luck with that.
Financials.
If you don't mind, just given the late hour of the evening, if I could just give you just a brief report. And just to identify the first sheet, which is all general fund revenues. Essentially, we have still to collect the final payment for the Middleton School District students. Last day of school being the 22nd, and then what we'll do is, once we have that, that will be the immediate reconciliation that bookkeeping staff will be doing, working on the 23rd and 24th, so that we'll know exactly what that final revenue number will be. I also have been working with Mrs. Donetto and her staff regarding the additional amount due for Medicaid. We've got a lot of back billing to do as far as transportation Medicaid. I will say that multi-state billing has been very, very supportive and working with us and looking at different areas, and I don't know if I want to say holes, if you will, on areas that we should be billing for, that we qualify for. So there still is, what's that?
What's projected number for Medicaid?
Well, right now, we have 180,000 that.
Oh, that's better than last
year. I always budget it conservatively because I don't really know what will happen at the federal level. Reducing Medicaid to Schools program. So I'm showing that we still have about another 49,000. So we're working diligently to go and get those transportation billings to be done, and those monies will be collected actually right through, I want to say probably right through that first week of August when we close out the books. There's a lot of year-end billing that's done. As far as general fund projected expenditures, I've used the projected year-end format again. Through attrition and rehiring of staff, and we have had some savings in staffing. You may look here and see that the overall bottom line has a budget of $762,000 remaining, but we will have the accrued payroll to process. We will have some of our year-end invoices to process. So looking at, by the time we're balancing out revenues, expenditures, and everything, probably about $200,000 that will be returning to the town to reduce the tax rate this fall. If you've got other questions, I'm open for that.
So in other words, we got 500,000 in expenses, what you're saying, roughly?
Well, right. I mean, we have to do the accrued payroll. We have just items that need to be cleared out, like invoicing, year-end, whether it's a year-end stipend, whether items that are tied to collective bargaining. We do pay back, give a financial credit back to employees for rewarding for not taking sick days. So I mean, that's all part of that calculation. So yes. And this was also run as of the 15th, so I mean, there have been some encumbrances that we've done. We topped off all of our fuel tanks. We paid ahead for our fuels. So if you've got specific questions.
Any questions for Lori?
I didn't have any.
Any projects we need to do that we should be done before?
Well, actually, one of the things that I am actually doing this Thursday with Chartwell's and with our facilities director, Larry Gordon, is to go through and really do an assessment of all of the food service equipment. We need to really have a good handle on are things really working well. I know that there is one piece of equipment that really hasn't been used at all in the last 3 years. We're going to do an We're going to do an assessment of, okay, is it worth putting money into that, versus using that steamer, depending on what foods, whole foods can be steamed. Can it be used for cooking? I'm not really familiar with the piece of equipment, but that is something that we're going to be addressing here on this Thursday. Is to looking to see what food service equipment needs to be